Hi, so today I wanted to talk to you about what to train your new puppy. Everyone loves this part, it's very exciting, and we do sit and down and that kind of thing, and we love seeing the dogs respond to us, and we love, the dogs love it too. You can do it with a new rescue dog as well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a puppy, but most people stick with, sit, lie down, or even getting a bit more complex, like beg or roll over. But actually, in real life, these things have absolutely no use whatsoever. And most people struggle with some form of behavioural problem further down the track. So I want to go through teaching your dog things every day if you can manage it, or every other day, whatever, but things that are actually going to be useful to you and that you're going to have a much more well-mannered dog that's going to behave and avoid those behavioural problems. So the first thing is sit for guests. Okay, so yep, everyone teaches their dog sit. It's a very easy one, dogs love it. It can teach them patience and things like that. It's good to sit for food and treats, etc., but hardly anyone does it with guests. What usually happens is the guests come in screaming, and grabbing the puppy. The puppy gets really excited, and this is repeated over and over. But you've got to be aware whenever you are with your dog or puppy, it is learning. So, whatever behaviour it is doing, it will just repeat that. That is what it will learn. So, this does mean you have to control your guests a bit as well, because you're much more likely to get this underhand when your puppy is tiny and young rather than when they're 6 months old. It's not really great to leave it until then because they've already done all this learning and they realise that guests mean crazy excitement, and the guests love it when I jump up and jump all over them. That's it. That's what I've been trained to do. So instead, we're going to teach sit for guests. So your guests come in, they've got to ignore the puppy. No looking at it, no touching it, no telling it how cute it is. Just come in nice and calm, and then they can have some treats and they can be involved as well. That's absolutely fine. But getting the puppy to sit repeatedly, this means ignoring any jumping up or pushing them, gently down if they jump up. Make sure they're not kind of on the sofa jumping on them as well. Just keep leading them to the floor with the treat and repeatedly sit. And if they want to have a cuddle and a play with the puppy, that is absolutely fine, but they can't do it when they first come in. So I like to leave it, depending how long your guest is for, ideally like half an hour, so that basically the dog isn't learning that people coming through the door is party time. They shouldn't be learning that. You need to think time and place for playtime. Otherwise, the dog will just assume this is what we do. Someone comes through the door and we all go mad, rather than, oh, this person wants to engage with me now. It's been calm and now they're ready to play. That's a lot more normal. And to be honest, that's normal in dog psychology as well. They don't just start playing together as soon as they meet. They do a sensible meet and greet, walk together for a bit, get relaxed, and at some point someone will do an invitation to play and it will all be a lot more normal. This is what we want to go for, right? Particularly if you've got bigger breeds. If they are, if like I said before, if you've got a rescue dog and it's getting a bit out of hand and you're like, oh, he's jumping all over them even though I've got food, don't worry, just use a lead. It will help calm things down a bit. The next thing I want you to make sure you're teaching your puppy are door boundaries. This is the first thing I teach any of my rescue dogs, is how to work around the door, because ultimately most doors lead onto a road, right? So I don't want any escaping. My end goal, really, which I've got with my two dogs now, is that they can actually go out the front door and they can waddle round on the drive and they can come back in without me having to be there as well. So I can open the door, say, go for a wee, they have a wee, and I'm right, get in, click my fingers, come back, and they come back. That's the ultimate goal. Realistically, that's taken me a year to do with both dogs. I am really safety conscious, that's why it takes a year. It probably could have been done a lot quicker, but I don't want to risk it. You don't have to go this far with your dog, but I'm just saying that's how far you can go. But you want to start teaching boundaries. I once met some owners who were brilliant, who taught boundaries on every single doorway of their house. It was fantastic. The dog literally sat and looked at them every single time they walked through, even if it's to the kitchen, and then the dog quietly followed them on their command. It would sit and stay, and it was about 10 weeks. I'd already learnt this. This is what I mean. Start it straight away. They are so malleable when they're really young and they love to learn, especially the intelligent breeds. So start doing that. You don't have to do it for every doorway in the house, but definitely things like starting with the back door, the front door. With the front door, again, please use a lead. You have to be safety conscious. Use a lead for a very long time, but ultimately you want the dog to get into the habit that the door is not high excitement. It just means sometimes it's open and I sit there, sometimes it's open and my owner goes out and I still sit there. Sometimes I go out, sometimes I go out and back in. It doesn't, again, Guests are part of the problem. High exciting guests. You want the door to be boring. It's just normal. It's not where exciting guests are coming from. It's not where we're doing an exciting walk. The door is versatile. It's used for all different things. And this is what I want you to start teaching your dog straight away. Let's learn some patience. Let's learn some manners as well. And that's a really important boundary one. I don't want to be getting shopping in and I've accidentally left the door open. Now the dog's gone flying down the road. That happens a lot. I see it a lot, and it can just simply be solved just by teaching them about this boundary. So that's an important one. Things like crate training. Can be a crate, can be a pen, can be a room, can just be a mat. That's quite a good one because you can move it around, place like a marker. Teach your dog that and teach a command word for it. Like I wouldn't use stay because I want to go through that as well. That's a bit different. But you can use place or blanket or bed, and my dogs know bed. And it's quite a good one because it means if you want the dogs out of the way in the future, i.e. you've got guests or you need to move your dog, you can just say this word, i.e. bed, and they go. So for instance, I use it quite a lot when I've let the dogs out, outside the front door, for example, and I'm milling around getting shopping and the dogs might waddle out and they waddle in. Like I said, I don't mind because they know that boundary. So they can come out, but if I do want them in, I can say bed and they both head straight to their beds. That's what I mean. It's very good for that. Or if I've got guests round and I want them in and out of a room, I can say bed and they head out. They know where to go. So teach that. Good thing about it, if you have a blanket, is it means you can take it to things like a pub or people's houses. So you bring this little blanket rather than a huge bed, and you can place it anywhere and you say bed and your dog goes there. So again, it's very similar. So you get your treats when the dog goes on it or touches it. So you lead it there. You say your keyword, bed, give it treats, and then you can throw treats in the bed, and when it goes in there, say bed, and then eventually you can direct it to that as well. But it's just getting used to your dog taking direction from you as to where to actually go, so it's quite helpful for that. It is similar to stay, like for instance, if your dog breaks out of the bed, you can you can tell it, no, go back to bed. So it's similar to a stay. That's why it's useful. The way it's different from stay is that really we want stay. Stay can be part of kind of like a separation anxiety program as well. So it is similar, and I often use it in rooms. So instead of a crate or a pen, if you're struggling with something like separation anxiety, you want to use stay in a room. If your dogs don't like pens or crates, that's fine. Stay. The key with stay is that you build it up really slowly, as in you first of all want your dog in a position, can be down or sit. I don't really like standing just because it can be a bit confusing for them. But you say stay, and then all you want to do is you don't move. Your dog is in position, and you just delay the reward, and you just take you, and then you delay it more and more. So the first thing about stay is that you don't move. Dogs like Labradors and higher intelligence dogs and German Shepherds and Poodles and this sort of thing, you can expect them, long-term goals of course, to be in a stay for 30 minutes. It seems extreme, but that's what these dogs can achieve. So I want you to have that in your head so that when you're thinking, oh God, can I really ask my dog to stay? Will I go around the house and back down? Yes, they absolutely can, but you just need to visualize it in your head and really work on that. But you start with literally the dog in front of you, and the general advice is that you actually build that up for 5 minutes before you even move. I don't really work like that because I've never known anyone that needs a stay for 30 minutes. So what I usually say is just get them sitting in front of you and then get them used to that there's going to be a delayed reward. First of all, that they've got to keep their bottoms down on the floor for the reward, and it's going to be a pause. It's not going to be immediate. And then I slowly start moving backwards. So the first time I might just tilt my body backwards, then I'll take a step, and that's it. Always return to your dog for a stay. Never call your dog out of a stay because it will make it more likely to break it because it's waiting for it to come to you. Always return back to your dog, and then I usually either say, I give another command like go to your bed or throw a treat somewhere else. So go find it. So start getting in this. It is a really good one because dogs are highly intelligent. Once you've taught them sitting down, which can be just 2 days if you've got something cross with a poodle, and they're looking for other things to do, stay is good because you can just keep building it up. So you can build up so that you're out of sight. And like I said, you can build up to 30 minutes if you need to. So the dog is always working. Dogs that are very destructive in the house and you feel like you can't exercise them enough, or they're always chewing, or they're attention seeking behavior, those kind of dogs need something like this. Otherwise they get bored. So they need something difficult for them to do, and a stay is a really good one. because of that. So I always advise working on stay as part of your program. Lead walking is an obvious one, really. So don't skip this because, like I said, a lot of dogs pull, particularly the bigger ones. And then once they're pulling, by the time they're 8 months, it's much harder to stop. So start it indoors. It doesn't have to be, your dog's vaccinated. You want to start indoors and just teach them that basically when they've got the lead on and you're holding the lead, it means stay at your heels, which basically means drip feeding them treats as you move around. Yeah, and the way you build it up is that the treats become less. So at first it's pretty constant, so the dog realizes it's got to walk with you, and then gradually you would do like the whole length of the room with just one treat at the end, and not holding it at their nose. Yeah, so the dog realizes there are treats coming, so they'll stay with you and then get a treat at the end from your pocket. That's how you layer it up. You want to make sure that you're doing this in your house, in the garden, and then when you start to walk outdoors as well. Whenever they first go out, they are a bit phased. You can work around this if your dog's not vaccinated by putting it in a little backpack if it's small enough and taking it with you. Won't be as phased if you do this. As long as it's not meeting dogs going on the floor, it's absolutely safe. You can get used to traffic like this and stuff like that. That's a good way of cutting out all of that. But ultimately, what you want to do is you just want to use your drive and stuff like that and slowly building up over the time and keep drip feeding those treats. Whenever something is harder for your dog, i.e., the house has little distractions, outdoors has lot of distractions, you need more treats. So even if you've got indoors perfect, heel work and you're using hardly any treats, when you go to somewhere new, outdoors or even a new park, you will always need to go back a few steps and use more treats to redo it, because otherwise it's not worth the dog's while. They're going to chase a leaf or something. So make sure you are doing that as well. It's a really useful one to teach, rather than, like I said, these things are going to be much more useful than learning how to roll over for your dog. These are real life things on how to get your dog to listen to you. Recall, again, can be paired with heel work if you like. It's very similar. It's all outdoors and it's necessary for what you want to do. Try and use a whistle or a key word rather than the name. The name gets overused. Start with the house, start with the garden, and then progress again to outside. So make your walks all about training rather than, oh, we're just here having a dandy and we're just trying to exercise the dog. No, like I said before, everything your dog is doing, your dog is learning. If you're allowing your dog to pull on a lead, he is learning to pull on a lead. If he is learning that we go to a field and everybody just switches off, someone goes on their phone and we just walk around in a square, he's learning we all switch off and I do what I want. Where it should be like, no, we're in this field, but I'm with you, we're still in this relationship, come back to me and get a treat. And just build it up from there. So making sure you do all these things. My one last point, again, it's back into the home, is learning leave it. It's just a good one to do because puppies pick stuff up or they go for stuff. Some dogs are more prone to guarding, like Cocker Spaniels. So again, leave it's quite a good one. Anything with a doodle's prone to stealing stuff. So again, leave it's a good one. And you just start, you can use a toy or a bit of food, put a lead on your dog so it can't actually get to it. When it looks at it, make a different noise, like, what's this? Ooh, any kind of funny noise. When the dog looks at you, say leave it, give it a treat. Yeah, it will look back at the item, again, make this noise, say leave it, give it a treat. Basically, leave it means look at me. That's essentially what it means. And then you build it up by making the dog walk away from these things, letting it have a longer lead, having no lead when it's very good at it. And ultimately, you've got to make sure the key with leave it is that it never gets that item. So you can't say leave the bit of cheese on the floor and then go and get it. That's not leave it, that's wait. So you must make sure you pick up the cheese and then you can give it to your dog, as long as he's not allergic to cheese, of course. That's what you need to do. Don't teach wait, teach leave it, a proper leave it. Leave it means look at me and get a high reward. So you can be doing this along the pavement. Dogs don't generalise, right, which is a bit like what I mentioned earlier with the heel work. What they learn in one place, they won't necessarily learn in another. So please teach leave it indoors and outdoors. You can do it in the house, in the garden, and in the street as well. You can just do it on your drive if you like. I've seen this if people have a really big problem with their dog picking up stuff. We've actually done this in sessions where we'll get some rubbish and we'll line it outside on their drive so we don't have to go miles or anything. And we literally do the same program, but it's outdoors. It's the same program for us, but you'll notice a big difference in the dog because a lot of dogs aren't used to doing any training outdoors. So they're just like, whoa, what's going on? Am I expected to listen? Really? So you will notice a difference, but that's good because it means the dog is learning. But just do the same thing. Keep them on a lead. Make sure they cannot reach that item. If they reach that item, you've effectively failed in the program, and now it's learned that actually leave it doesn't necessarily mean I have to leave it. I can just grab it whenever I want. You must make sure your dog is going to leave it before you give them the chance of doing it off lead. But essentially, leave it is a little bit like a recall. It means come back, look at me, and have a treat. So it's kind of the same command. You're just using it for different things, if that makes sense. But anyway, these are really good things to teach a new puppy. You can mix and match, depends on how clever your puppy is, but I usually say stick to one or two within a week, nail them, and then start learning another one. Some of them need building up in layers, like walking, for instance, will need building up in a lot of layers, and stay needs building up in layers. Commands like bed, kind of one-dimensional really, so they can be learned quite quickly. But yeah, enjoy your puppy or your new rescue dog and keep going and keep training.
If you're interested in more videos or stuff that I do, I am on TikTok. I usually put my TikTok videos also on Facebook and Instagram, so just search Fawn Dog for those. And the main website is fawndog1to1dogtraining.co.uk. Thanks for listening, guys.